Hello everybody, I'm Hoardergamer and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I want to thank you very much for watching, and we got reviews, some comic book reviews, we got some game news, not too much. This might actually be a shorter episode because there wasn't quite as many cool things for me to find this week. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes a week is going to be really exciting, a lot of great releases, a lot of great announcements, and sometimes not as much. Hey Mike, how you doing? So first up, we're going to start with a comic book review. We have Knight Terrors Joker #2. And it's Joker with, like, basically choking on teddy bears on the cover, which I thought was pretty great. This has been probably one of my favorites of Knight Terrors. It's the idea that with Batman dead, Joker doesn't know what to do with himself. So, like, his gang disbands. He needs to make money. He ends up working at Wayne Enterprises. Somehow has a kid and a wife that both heavily resemble Lex Luthor. I'm trying to figure that one out. It's possible that it's based on a version of a member of his gang, but I'm not exactly sure. And he ends up, like, going to dinner, having dinner with Bruce Wayne, but this Bruce Wayne has the shellfish allergies that Joker has, yet he's still feasting on crabs and lobster in this insane scene where multiple panels include Joker getting to the other side of the table to have dinner with Bruce. So kind of a more insane take on the '89 Batman scene with Vicky Vale and Vicky Vale and Bruce having dinner at Wayne Manor. Yeah, there's this fantastic scene where villains are actually coming in to apply for a job, and Johann Kaiser, which is the name Joker chose. Get it, JK? Johann Kaiser, he's basically interviewing Mr. Freeze. And Mr. Freeze is, like, talking about, like, what he would do in, like, a business situation. And, you know, combining it with the crazy things that Mr. Freeze does. And there's this moment where he's like, so your name is Mr. Freeze. And then Victor Freeze goes, Freeze, as in Freeze. And then Johann's like, that's what I said, Freeze, Fries. So, you know, they keep spelling it, and it's the same pronunciation, but it's pretty ridiculous. And then it's the idea that, like, in one other shot, or one other panel, you see a whole mess of villains that Johann must have hired to work at Wayne Enterprises. Because well, it's thought that Batman's dead. And in fact, in the first issue, a terrible accident happens. Batman slips and falls off a roof and dies. And he actually is dead. And then Joker goes and takes Batman's body and puts it in a closet in his house. Well, what we find out is that Joker can't live in a world without Batman. So he goes up out at night, dressed as Batman, murdering villains. And because of that, the villains are trying to find some way to survive, hopefully before they get killed by this new Batman, who they don't know is the Joker. And it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So that's why they're trying to get jobs at Wayne Enterprises. And, you know, other places too. I really liked it. The end is sort of like, you know, like waking up after a nightmare, and I don't know how much, if anything, will go into the main series of Joker. I don't know. But it was very entertaining for 2 issues. Now, I think if they pulled this off tried to do this for 6 issues, it would have been kind of wearing on you, and you wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much in 6 issues. But for 2 issues, it's a really fun respite. And the idea of the Joker just working in the office, you know, I think at one point in issue 1, he forgets to tell someone happy birthday, and then, like, he's debating if he should kill other employees or not, and It's pretty great. Oh my God! The company baseball game is Luther Corp versus Wayne Enterprises. Okay, and Joker gets upset at the second baseman, and actually chokes him to death. And Bruce Wayne is like, "No, I understand. I know why you did that. I get it. I get it." It was just so bizarre and such great dream slash nightmare logic. I've actually seen a lot of that in Night Terrors as a whole, the entire series. Really great nightmare dream logic. But yeah, Joker, I think, is one of the most fun parts of this. I don't know if you'd say miniseries or like special or whatever. But yeah, I really liked it. Okay, that is our first comic book review, everybody. Next up, we have video gaming news. Well, get this huge surprise, okay? You're not ready for this because I'm going to talk about Diablo 4. Not like I talk about Diablo 4 almost every week, but there's usually news for Diablo 4, so there's reason to talk about it. Okay, so the big patch is coming the 8th of August. And that's going to fix a lot of issues with the game. It's going to buff the druid. It's going to buff the sorcerer. Those are probably the two most important classes to buff. It's even going to buff the rogue and one of his abilities, or one of their abilities, because you can make the rogue any way you'd like. With the rogue, you can now actually use Rain of Arrows, and the first volley of arrows will knock the enemy down, and the second one will punish them. So one knocks them down and hurts them, and then the second one comes and possibly finishes them off. So rather than the enemy getting away or moving away from where the arrows are coming, that can't happen anymore. So I'm really happy about that. I'm doing a rogue for the season, and that's actually part of the build I'm using is the Rain of Arrows. So I'm happy about that. They also said, if you missed it last week, they will never ever have a patch quite like that again. Related news, it sounds like they recently hired somebody for the seasons, like a Diablo 4 season lead is what it sounds like. So I'm guessing they had somebody, but they were probably balanced between other, not departments, but other aspects of the game. And now they got someone that sounds like full-time to lead the seasons. I have to say that I've enjoyed the season so far. It's roughly a 4 to 6 hour story campaign with a character named Cormand and a former friend of his, basically, named Varshan. And some craziness that Cormand may be responsible for, which basically destroys Varshan, and causes this terrible corruption across Sanctuary. And I very much liked that. The way it works is it's like a couple missions here, a couple missions there, and then basically you move on through the season journey. And every time you get through part of the first 4 chapters of the season journey, there's more of the story to go. Plus, they added these malignant tunnels, which are these special caves that you go and fight these malignant enemies. When you kill them, they reveal their hearts. No, it's not Kingdom Hearts. No, it's not Persona 5. And then you basically, once the heart is revealed, you use a magical cage to capture it. And right before you do that, you fight an uber or more powerful version of said monster. So I've actually liked it a lot. I think it's really cool. I'm right now, I think, at level 51 or maybe 52 for the season with my rogue. I'm still on tier 2 though. I hope to hit tier 3 soon, and I got a number of buffs in the Paragon board, which is in endgame. You have a thing called the Paragon board, and you have all these little areas that you click on and you're like, okay, I want that dexterity. I want 10% extra armor, you know, and then you can even get that buffed if you have enough of, let's say, intelligence in a specific area of the Paragon board. It's really neat the way it works. I really do like that a lot. But I did find out, not just like this week, but like it's a consensus I have on the game. The one thing people enjoy more than playing Diablo 4 is complaining about Diablo 4. Like, that's crazy popular. Like, it's like nothing will ever make anyone happy about this game. The best decision they could make for this game will still upset a very, very loud and obnoxious minority of people. Like, we'll say like 4% of the players. We'll say like of the probably over, I'm guessing over 1 million players this game has total among the different, you know, PC and console and everything. You know, it's a small percentage of very loud, angry voices that just will not be pleased no matter what happens with this game. When you're saying this game currently is worse than the launch of Diablo 3, you have lost the plot. You have lost the plot because Diablo 3 had this auction house. Diablo 3 had almost no end game to speak of. Like, here you have a lot. You have world bosses. You have world events. Okay? You have dungeons that you can do. You get the sigils that alter the dungeons and make them different experiences. There's quite a bit that you get currently in Diablo 4. But I've seen like craziness about like how it's far worse than Diablo 3 at launch. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, seriously? You believe this? Okay, so other game news. This one I think is weird. Okay? And it's not because I don't want people to be able to play it. I'm just worried about the experience they're going to have with it. We just found out that EA is going to take Star Wars Jedi Survivor and bring it to Xbox One and PS4. Now, apparently people at the Series X were talking about how it already has serious issues. And they're like, how can this even be possible? And I'm wondering they're taking the time and effort and money in doing this, even though I've heard it sold really well on like PC, Series X, and PS5. So I think this is a bewildering, you know, turn of events. We're already in 2023. I'm going to guess this won't come out till 2024. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'd like more people to be able to play the game, but I feel that the experience they're going to have could be really bad or really nowhere near as exciting with the way it currently is. I like to give you a hard time about D4, but it's a good game. I agree. I think D4 is really good. Hey, Doom, how you doing? Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Wish they would have put Respawn on Titanfall 3. Yes, Titanfall 2 has an amazing campaign. And I would love a Titanfall 3 campaign. That would be really neat. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I am happy they're doing a sequel to Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I just think it's odd for them to take the money and resources and be like, we're going to make a PS4 and Xbox One version. I don't know. At the consensus of most people who played the game are like, how? Like, it's nice you want to do that, getting more people to play the game because it's a great game. But like, how? That's what I keep coming back to. Let's see, other game news, personal game news. Off stream, I've been playing Disney Illusion Island, which is an exclusive on the Nintendo Switch. It's a really fun platforming game, and you can actually make it difficult. You can have it where one hit, and then the second hit, you're dead. And it's challenging enough platforming that can be difficult then. But like the animation's gorgeous. It's a beautiful looking game, and I believe it's Switch exclusive. And you can play as Mickey, Minnie, Donald, or Goofy, and they all have like different animation styles and stuff, which is neat. What I mean by that is the abilities they use. It's all different types of animated things. Like there's a yo-yo for Mickey to swing across places, and then a fishing line and fishing rod for Donald Duck. Like there's some really clever, neat ideas in here, and the script is funny. It's a funny script. I think it'll definitely appeal to kids and adults, and I very much like it. Also, Remnant 2. Okay, they've been talking about patches for it, as well as like new, like almost expansions or something. New things coming to Remnant 2 already. And they've already, I believe, sold 1 million copies of the game. It's very good. It's very challenging. One thing I think I brought up last week is like I was worried about a rinse and repeat aspect. Well, I just had terrible luck, I guess. The game is procedurally generated, and every experience is drastically different. From like puzzles you come across to enemies you come across, entire like areas might look different. Like it's really wild. Okay, so I had 2 areas in a row that had this bizarre rinse repeat vibe. I am in a new area that's nothing like that. So I possibly just had a bizarre, like, random situation there. But yeah, it's a very cool and intense game. And it's something like a Dark Souls, except it doesn't punish you for dying. You don't lose your currency. You don't lose your items or anything. The only thing is you have to kind of like get back to where you were, because checkpoints are a bit few and far between. But that's it. It's not like you have to run back and get your souls. And if you die running back, you lose those souls and can't get them. It's nothing like that. So it's interesting to do challenge like this, but in a way that's not punishing the player for dying. And for experimenting. The areas are large. And like all of a sudden you'll find some like wildly difficult area, and you'll be like, okay, maybe I should level up and come back here. Now that's very much like a Souls game right there. But like, yeah, wild things. Like I found an AI controlling a train, and basically it traps me on the train, and I'm fighting all these robots and things on it. Very intense, very difficult, but fun. But yeah, I very much think Remnant 2 is a cool experience. I like it a lot. And, let's see, our final gaming news today. Vampire Survivors, one of my favorite games on Xbox and PC. I believe it's on mobile now too, and I'm hoping it comes to PlayStation. It's coming to Switch in a month or 2, I know that. Anyway, co-op. They have couch co-op now, and they were kind of showing it off in an event today. Plus, IGN even had his little story about this. There's a director's cut of Vampire Survivors with 10 more characters and a whole mess of other things and features. So I don't know if the idea is it's going to end up becoming that or what that is exactly. But I thought that was really interesting. It's an auto shooter in the vein of Castlevania, or like the basically like the concept of something like that, where you have like, you know, someone with a whip, a magic user, these different types of characters that are going and trying to kill these monsters. And it very much has a Castlevania vibe, but like 16-bit. And I think it's really good. On stream, I was actually doing the Army of Ruin, which is another auto shooter with, I believe, a larger budget, a larger team. Because Vampire Survivors at one point was just one person. One person by the name of Ponkel. That's the name they go by, Ponkel. But yeah, they also have made it seem like it's possible for them to bring co-op to online, which would be great. They haven't like promised it, but they have said it's something they very much would like. It's just that with the small team they have now, there's only so much they can do at once, but... Okay, everybody, we are done talking about video games. Next up, we are going to talk about toys. You could say we're going to toy around. Here we go, everybody. You all know of Batman Lego, as in the games and the actual Lego building sets. Lego Batman Returns, anybody? So, $32.99 is a retail. I think this is really cool. You build a Batman figure based off the Batman Returns Batsuit. So like Michael Keaton in the Batman Returns Batsuit. And you even have the Batman Returns symbol, like with the ice or snow like at the top there, you can see. But yeah, I really like this. It's got a material cape. And I thought this was cool. This came out real recently. I think this was an August 1st release. So it's real recent. I'd definitely like to see more in like the movie line like this. That would be cool. Okay, let me send this back to the Batcave. Next up, we have more Batman. Yes, we actually have more Batman. Here we have McFarlane Toys, though. And again, I'd like to shout out to Preturnia. Preturnia on Twitter usually has these amazing shots of toys and things. And yeah, I definitely want to give them a shout out. I use some of their pictures here and there. Right here, we have Batman Hush. Not the blue and gray, the black and gray. And this will go on sale tomorrow, I think, for $19.99. I think it looks great. It's a McFarlane figure right here. I think it's impressive. I look forward to seeing more pictures of it, too. Because I think this is a good one, especially with the lighting. But I look forward to seeing a little more detail on the cowl and face and everything. But I do like it a lot. And also, because there's a Hush Batman, goes really well with the Hush Superman. Also available for McFarlane Toys. And if you so felt you needed any of these, you could like totally go like to Entertainment Earth, use code Hoarder, because that does support me. But, you know, I digress. Okay, I will send this back to the streets of Gotham City. I'm not going to send it back to the Batcave like the Lego set. The streets of Gotham is where I'm sending Hush Batman. Hush. And finally, we have something completely ridiculous that's going to possibly upset some collectors and fans. Okay, let me start with saying that as a kid, Menasor was one of my favorite Transformers. Menasor was the Stunticons, these race cars, and a semi-truck that would turn into a giant robot. Here it is right here. Okay? Well, this is so bizarre. They started, I want to say in 2021, releasing the different vehicle robots that would become Menasor. One, like 2 at a time, I think they did. Motormaster is the big semi-truck. He's the largest one. He makes the head and like the chest, basically. And the other one I think they released right away, if I recall, was Dragstrip, which is the yellow racing car on the arm there. I don't know if you can see the mouse here, but yeah, it's the yellow arm. There's only one arm that's yellow. The other arm's red. And so they released those, and then like 6 months later, they like released another one, and then another one. And I'm still waiting for Breakdown, which is one of the legs. And then finally, I will have Menasor. So what does Hasbro do? They decide to release a box set of all of them and then make alterations on the art to bring it a little bit more in line with the way the original Menasor looked. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to me. It's like, so everyone then that went and piecemeal was getting the vehicles to make Menasor. Now they're like, okay, here is a more retro version, but still with the really cool features of this Menasor. Here you go. Only available in the box set, $190. I don't know. So I actually really like the version that I'm making right now. Yeah. But I just think that was an odd decision for them. Like, I believe this area here, like the pelvis, I believe is different. I believe there's slightly different coloring up at the shoulders. Yeah, and I think the head is possibly a different sculpt. But otherwise, it's real similar to what they made. So I don't know what exactly occurred there, but there he is, Menasor. He'll be menacing your wallet, you know, because he's not exactly inexpensive. Okay, let me remove him here. I will send him back to the streets of Cybertron. See, I sent Hush Batman back to the streets of Gotham. And now Menasor, for some insane reason, on Cybertron now, on the streets of Cybertron. I'm wacky like that. Okay, everybody. So the effect is actually broken, but I will do my best to recreate an effect I do every week on this show. So, we are going to talk about the future of comic books, okay? The future of comics all the way to 1 week from today. I held it longer there because I actually don't have the reverb generator because I don't have the effect. So that was the closest I could come to it. Okay, first up. Wow. Immortal X-Men 14. So, a little background here. Immortal X-Men, most of the issues focus on a specific member of the X-Men, and there's like, they're kind of narrating the issue and like taking you into their mindset as they're making the story and like pulling you into it. It's really awesome. My two favorite X-Men books of, I think it's been 2 years now. Well, no, 14? So that'd be just over a year, I guess. Would be Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red. And X-Men Red was all about Arakko on Mars and the mutants that were there. Okay, so after the events of, and there's a spoiler coming, I apologize, but there's no way for me to talk about this without the spoiler. After the events of the Hellfire Gala, basically the mutants used these gates and they were, I guess you could say, booby-trapped. And Professor Xavier said all the mutants are now dead and lost. A true insane cliffhanger for the Hellfire Gala this year. Okay, so if you think there's hope for the mutants, I took a screenshot because I want to have this word for word as to what it says about this issue of Immortal X-Men. I needed to have a screenshot. Here we go. To me, my no one, as in to me, my X-Men. That's something that Xavier has said in the books. Okay. To me, my no one, Xavier had a dream. Now he has nothing. This is the fall of X. He fell. He fell furthest. Wow. If you're an X-Men fan and you are not like, oh my god, that's crazy dark, I need to know what happens in this issue, you may not actually truly be an X-Men fan. Like, I have got to know. Usually, okay, too, also, when they have the synopsis of a comic book, it's usually a paragraph or two. It's usually not a sentence or two. It's usually not quite that terse. So, wow. This should be a pretty wild issue. And as I said before, Immortal is one of the best X-Men books going. If you want to save money and love the X-Men, my recommendation currently is Immortal X-Men, X-Men Red, and then the base flagship X-Men book. Now, obviously, there's a Wolverine comic, and there's quite a few other X-Men books. But to me, the most exciting and most interesting, and the books you would need for you to understand what's going on, you don't need to have every X-Men book, thank God. There's, I want to say, 13 or 14 of them. 2 to 3 a month, I think you would be able to get it. Although I would highly recommend, if you're limiting it, but getting X-Men, definitely get that flagship book. Definitely get that. Because that's going to cover the big, massive points, for sure. I mean, that just makes sense, right? But like with Batman, there's Detective Comics. Yeah, there's Nightwing, there's all those other characters. But it doesn't quite feel like it's all these different teams, and you need to, there's this urge to have every single thing, Bat Family, every month. With X-Men, when I talk like to fans and like to readers and stuff of the X-Men, that's the vibe they feel. They almost feel like they need it all. So it's just something I've noticed. Okay, so let me put this away then. Very good chance I'll review that next week, by the way. Very good chance. I like to let everyone know some idea of where we're headed with the next episode when I can. Sometimes it's up in the air, and I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know what the choice should be. Okay, everybody. Knight Terrors number 3 with another completely insane cover. Now, there might be some weird digital, like, affecting here going on. I can't quite tell, because it's hard for me to see if this, like, block image is on the actual characters, because it kind of looks like it isn't. But I absolutely love these almost LSD-like Knight Terrors covers for the flagship Knight Terrors event book. So here's another wild, insane cover. This is the third one, and I'm trying to remember if Knight Terrors is 3 issues or 4 issues, but yeah, the flagship book has these insane psychedelic covers, and I think they're awesome. And the story has been very interesting. Like earlier I reviewed Joker number 2, Knight Terrors Joker 2, and yeah, I thought it was really cool. Okay. And finally, one of my favorite comic book titles. Let me clarify that. Not like one of my favorite comic books of all time, but the actual title. Damn Them All. Damn Them All. By Simon Spurrier and Charlie Adlard and Sophie Dodson. Okay, so this is volume 1. This is the first 6 issues in a trade, and I believe it's $19.99. This comes out next week. And I'll give you a brief synopsis, okay, of this. This has been an interesting week, because sometimes there's books that just scream at you, cover this book, make sure to talk about this book. But that really didn't happen this week. There were a couple. So I had to be creative, and Damn Them All is something that I think definitely deserves a bit of a spotlight. Okay, so after the death of Ellie's uncle, Elfie, an infamous magician and occult detective, the 72 devils of the Ars Goetia are mysteriously freed from their infernal realm. It's now up to her to track down each of the demons and damn them right back to hell. Using holy water, conjuration, or just her trusty rusty claw hammer, which you can see in the picture. Okay? Her name is Ellie. She goes by Bloody L. Like bloody hell. Right when I knew that, and that first part of the synopsis, I was like, this is awesome. So I read the first issue and I loved it, but I've now come to the point where if it's pretty much a sure thing and I read the first issue, I just save the money and get the trade. It's usually less expensive than buying the issues for the most part now. And it's definitely less expensive than buying the separate issues and then freaking getting the trade. So if you're going to want the trade, in this case, that's what I did. Yeah. Charlie Adlard is the artist from The Walking Dead comic book. So he's great. And Simon Spurrier is someone who's worked on a lot of comic books, including a lot of Marvel stuff, and who I didn't really have a lot of background or information on. But Damn Them All is really good. Like, if you like something like Buffy or like, you know, something like that where you're like supernatural demons, stuff like that. Well, like the actual show, Supernatural. Then I think you'll really enjoy Damn Them All. And how much fun is that title? Damn Them All. Like, that's up there with Something is Killing the Children. Yeah, there's some comic books that have these amazing titles. Like, honestly, I almost feel like the issue could be like no dialogue and maybe one or two pictures, the rest are blank pages. But if your title of your actual book is something as amazing as Damn Them All or Something is Killing the Children, I think it's going to be a hit. Okay, so let me put that away then. I'm going to damn that trade to hell with the other 72 demons of the Ars Goetia. Okay, everybody. First off, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And we're not done yet, as you probably know. There's another comic book review. But I always like to thank everyone, you know, ahead of time, you know. So, we started off with Joker, and now we are going to The Death of the Venomverse #1. Now, I was on the fence about this because it's all different writers, and I didn't know how cohesive the concept would be. But getting the first issue of Death of the Venomverse, I'm happy I did. The idea is, and it started out from the Carnage comic book, which is really good. Ram V used to write it, and it's intense and crazy. It was really cool. I believe it has a different writer. I want to say it's Alex Packnadel, but I could have that name wrong. I apologize. It might be a number of writers that kind of went and took over it. Anyway, Carnage basically goes, and I believe he kills the Spot and takes his ability. And then, almost like Sylar in Heroes, goes around and killing other heroes, gaining their powers so he can get rid of weakness. So it's almost like Dennis Reynolds on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he's like, "Sickness, be gone!" So yeah, he wants to have all weaknesses taken care of. His issue with Sonics, his issue with fire, all of that. So he's going on this like mad killing spree, getting these powers. And then he has an epiphany. He is going to go and kill every Venom throughout the multiverse. And when he kills them, he's going to go and take their codex, their power, for himself. And he will make himself invincible as he goes around slaughtering all the Venoms. Now, Anne Weying, also known as Eddie Brock's girlfriend, Anne, in another world, she's Agent Venom, and she and this team of Venoms are out to hunt and trap Carnage before he can go and kill all these other Venoms and get their powers. So, I really like it. I think it's an easy concept to follow. As much as I love Venom, it's gotten very complicated. very complicated. I still love it. I still think it's really good. But my God, if you miss an issue or two, it's crazy. But yeah, Death of the Venomverse is good. It's intense as he's going around. He ends up killing Mania. I'm trying to think. He kills a whole mess of Venoms, man. And then also, too, I left out the best part. He's separated from everyone. Carnage is now its own separate entity. So one of the weaknesses Carnage had, which basically any of the symbiotes has, is if you go for the host. But now Carnage has no host, which makes him even more dangerous. But yeah, I thought Death of the Venomverse was good. I'm interested to see where it goes. Again, with an event, I don't recommend getting every single book, but this is like the flagship. You know, because the event is Death of the Venomverse. So, it's like the flagship book right there. Same title. You know. But yeah, I think if you're a Venom fan, you'll like it. Like I said, easy to understand and intense and violent. And everything you want from a book with both Venom and Carnage in it. Or we'll say Venoms and Carnage in it. Okay, everybody. I want to thank you all very much for watching. And I am Hoardergamer. If you wanted to, you know, watch me outside of this, twitch.tv/Hoardergamer. I'm doing Remnant 2. I'm doing Diablo 4, currently on the season with a rogue. Let's see, what else is coming real soon? Atlas Fallen. I might stream Atlas Fallen, but I'm not 100% sure. I really need to see reviews for that game. I'm not going to have another situation of like picking up a game and finding out that like, yeah, either all support's cut for it or it's really bad. So I'm waiting on reviews for it. All the previews look nice, you know. But yeah, thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Doomkiller HD and Doom Squad Gaming for letting me borrow your channel again. Thank you. And I will see you all next week.